Hello, can somebody confirm that I'm audible or not? Okay, thanks. So, Kritish, shall we start the session then? Okay. So, yeah, first let me start with the first question. That in ML, it's supervised or unsupervised learning or a kind of algorithms or the methods to determine a right algorithm for any problem. Could you please help? See, in ML, basically we divide the problem into two categories, either supervised or unsupervised. Supervised is nothing but you know what you're going to find it out. Okay, so you have the target variable with you. So unsupervised is you don't have the target variable with you, so you cannot even derive the target variable with you. So this part we will be dealing with unsupervised. Supervised, the name itself will tell you that you are supervising the algorithm. Okay, so by mentioning the target variable, that is what supervised. You are not supervising the target variable, so that is what called unsupervised, learning. So the major see, even in the supervised learning, there are subcategories, regression and classification. So unsupervised learning, so there are no multiple branches exist. It is always like a clustering. Okay, unsupervised is nothing but clustering. Means so clustering in the sense, so bringing the similar data groups together. That is called clustering. So clustering, for clustering we have like k-means, k-medians, and all these kind of things. So if you come to supervised, again supervised is divided into two categories. So as I told you, supervised has the target variable, and based on this target variable, whether this is the numerical continuous or else it can be a categorical. So if it is a numerical continuous, then that problem we will be calling it as like regression problem, and if it is a categorical variable, that problem we will be calling it as a classification problem. So for the regression, basically linear regression, even the linear regression, decision tree, random forest, all this can be applied. All the latest algorithms that you can apply it for regression, and as well as for classification also, like we have logistic regression, decision tree, random forest, all this can be applied for classification. So the latest algorithms which are into the market now, so those are completely, they are enabled to handle both supervised, I mean both regression and classification problems. So I hope I answered your question, Tarun. So if you still have the question, I mean if you still have any other query, then you can post it up. So what is the difference between Excel SX and Open Excel SX? So these two, I mean, there's no much difference that exists between Excel access and Open Excel access. So basically, all these two packages can be used to handle, Excel files. Okay, so when you take like Excel access, so there are certain operations, so where you cannot perform like it's like, see, when you take an Excel file, so if you want to process with Excel file in R, especially this problem comes in R. So whereas in Python we may not have that particular persistent problem with Excel access and Open access. And how to handle null value. See, null value is nothing but see, there are two different things that we need to understand, whether it is a null value or any value. So people might be thinking that these two are same. Okay, so there could be possibilities that, so the value is in, I mean, missed maybe by chance, or else the value is not available. Okay, if the value is missed by chance, then that value will be calling it as I mean, if the value is missed, so that value will be calling it as null. If the value is not at all available in the data, that value will be calling as any value. Okay, so but when we are dealing with the data, so we will be treating both of them in the same manner, that so you can replace, if it is a continuous variable, then you can go for the imputations like mean, median, mode, whatever the way that we wanted. If it is a categorical variable, if you have the null value, then you can go with the categorical approach. I mean, so you can go with the mode approach. You can replace mode approach, and we do have some advanced techniques like k-NN imputations and all, which you can use for the null value handling. So, and after using df dot sort values by equal to gender content of the column, gender changed with the content of the column plot. Can you please help? So you are sorting. I mean, you're sorting with the value called January. January is nothing but what do you, no? Can you please tell me exactly what is changing? The plot might be changing because you're sorting it. Means that, so let me tell you. So if you draw the graph, maybe without ascending or descending order, let me tell you. Then so first value might be at 0th value there might be 10. At one value there might be 12. So this is what, if you draw a graph, there might be a chance that you may get maybe a bell-shaped curve or whatever it is. But when you're sorting it, so there is a more chance that okay, the orders, now the values are orderly placed. In those cases, as you're trying to change the values, so the order, in the case that your graph also will vary, but the values at the particular point will not be varied. That you have to observe. So by looking at that plot, you might think that plot has been changed, but if you observe it, so the value at a particular data point will not be changed. So actually, I'm getting problem in Excel Access. It's not working in my R Studio. Could you please tell me which version of R that you are using? Because the latest version of R is having issues with the XLXX. Okay, so I'll tell you, whenever you are not, getting any package for the latest versions, what you have to do is directly go to, if it is the R, then go to CRAN repository, download the zip file available for that particular package, and then extract the zip file and install it. So that will be the best way if you don't get any of the package. Okay, and even for Python also, if you think that if you're not getting any latest, package is not found for the latest versions, what you have to do is go to Anaconda repository, okay, and check it. So if you check there, if you find the directly wheel files, get the wheel file and directly you can install it with the same command, pip command. So this is what, if you're not finding anything, go to CRAN repository for R and download the zip file and install it. And if it is a Python, then what you do is go to Anaconda repository, okay, and pip repository, and download the wheel files and directly install. Yes, I need to know how to imputation null value. See, as I told you, like null value can be imputed. Let me tell you, if it is a numeric value, so if it is a numeric variable, okay, then you can impute based on either mean value, median value, or mode value. Okay, so even if it is a numeric value, and if you have outliers in your data, better you go for median. So if it is a categorical variable, so you have to deal with mode. So you will simply get like if you see the summary or like is mean, mean function, if you use, then you'll easily get the values that you wanted. Yes, you can post other questions also who was having it. How to draw, what is a box plot? See, box plot is nothing but, so visualizing the value, visualizing the values of the data distribution. Okay, how your data is distributed along particular range. If you take any range, how your data is distributed along this range. Okay, so you can simply use the box plot function, and you can draw it. Even if you are using Python, then you can directly go for this function, the function of box plot. Even in R also it is available. It's like multiple ways that you can, if you are using matplotlib also, matplotlib has directly the function box plot, so that also you can use. Yes. When I load a CSV file in Python, I get an error of parser error. So can you please tell me what kind of parser error that you are getting? So it's like, see, when you are using CSV file, the probabilities that you may get error is, so as in Excel, we have a pivot table. Likewise, do we have similar such functions in R and Python? Yes, we do have. We can do the pivoting in R and Python both. So what is the difference of factor and character data type in R, and why we need to change from factor to character data type? So it always depends on your it always depends on, you know, the factor or character whatever you're taking. Let me tell you, if you want to visualize, you know, the, I mean, so especially when you're going for, you know, visualizing the categories in your data, then you have to use the factor data type. So if there are no categories exist in your data and if it is a general variable, then we go for character data type. Okay, so so it always depends upon your scenario. So if you want your target variable to be, you know, exist, if you want your target variable to be in exist in categories, then you can use that value. Or if you want the variable is not like categories, then you can use for character data type. Yes, so I'm asking with respect to text mining. Yeah, who is this? Rinko. Text mining perspective, I mean, so in what is the text mining technique that you're using? Like, see, what kind of problem that you're dealing with, what is your objective? So in that objective, so how you're making it to, you know, convert? Because when it is text mining, when you're going for any kind of NLP approach, then you cannot use the factor data type at all, because it always try to convert. See, factor is nothing but try to differentiate the level within the variables, so which is not you know, advisable when we are going for text mine. So that's why we use always the character data type. This is the error that I'm getting when I load it into CSV file in Python. Python input. Okay. So as I really cannot read this error, like it is giving me something. So basically, when you are doing any CSV file loading, so if you are using a read CSV file, so first check, do you have any spaces at the end of the file or beginning of the files? Okay, and maybe if a column names are there, so if you update the first name as a column name, and then what it will try to do is, if first row contains like 10 values and the next row contains like 9 values, in those cases it always throws an error. Okay, even the value is not there, then it has to be like null, but the, I mean, the separation of the comma should be there. In those cases you will be getting this kind of error. For feature scaling and outlier analysis, is it important to convert all variables to numeric type? See, generally out, so for feature scaling is that you always do the feature scaling, you can only do with the numerical data type, you cannot do with the categorical data type at all. So if you still want to do, then you have to do meaning and do it. But you know, feature scaling is meaningful when you talk about a numeric variable only. So even so, if you want to find out the outlier also, so it's like the meaningful information that we will get it for only numeric variables. So that is why even sometimes when you're loading the data, you may be like some variables might be treated like your, you know, categorical, even though they are numerical. Maybe because of if the comma is present, or like if at all, like, you know, apostrophe is present. So these kind of things are present in your data, then it might be treating you as categorical. In that case, you have to convert into numerical variable and you have to do your analysis. How to check multicollinearity in dataset? See, multicollinearity is nothing but, see, existing of the linear relationship between two independent variables. Okay, so if the two independent variables are having linear relationship, then that problem will be calling it multicollinearity. You can check simply by using a basic method is that you can use Pearson correlation coefficient, or you can also check using a heat map also. So which is available in Python directly. It shows the relationship between each and every two variables. Or else if you want to particularly observe each and every two variables, then go for Pearson correlation coefficient. Generally, so if the value is greater than 0.5, then we will be treating them as correlated. So if the value is less than that, then we will not be treating it as correlated. Okay. So that is multicollinearity. And I'm in project section. What are the most frequent questions which are asked by mentor? So Ronak, it always depends on mentor, but in general, if you wanna, it's like if you wanna see evaluate any project, then what we check is your methodology. Okay, the way that you build your project. Okay, so what are the steps that you have followed, and what are the other things that you know mention. It's like whatever the code that you write, whatever the functions that you write, so those things, you have to be careful. I mean, whatever you have written in your report, if you are able to explain it, so then that is it. So you don't need to worry about. So PS, what is that? Sorry, I lost from where. So I didn't get the pivot function name for R and Python. So Ritu, I will be providing by end of this session. Okay, I'm also recollecting now the function name. So I will be providing you by end of this session. Okay, the pivot function in Python and all, but it is available. So how will we know which all packages are required for NLP for R and Python? See, generally, it's not that, so we always specify something. So it can be changing from one domain to domain also. So there are multiple, NLP libraries available for Python or R. So it's like, so if I want to, let's suppose, I'm dealing with a medical related information or healthcare related information or a medical drug related information or hospital information. So I have a specified packages like Medici or Medifaction. So these kind of packages are available for me, so that I'll go and install the packages, so that it already had pre-trained data related to medical industry or like healthcare industry. So there are no such packages. What are all the packages that we can tell? It always depends upon your problem. Okay, so by default, if you can download NLTK or download, then NLTK will give you the most of the functions availability for you. So I think that is the first thing that you have to start when you're going for it. And first, Pearson and other, what is checking multi-column heat map? You can check heat map. How will we come to know what are the unwanted characters present in the dataset? See, unwanted characters present in the dataset in the sense, so it is that you have to, when we are understanding about the data, so understanding data in the sense, it's not that, okay, if I type summary, then I'll be getting, mean, median, mode, and this, the data type and everything. So that is not the way that we are looking. Unwanted characters might be that you have to, so if at all you have, then you have to replace those unwanted characters. Okay, so that is the solution. But so the basic way to find out unwanted solution is, at least you have to observe some data points in your data. I mean, in your data, so you have to go and check some data points. It's like, if you have a numerical value, then you should be able to check, so whether digits are present or if any alphanumerical characters are present in it. Okay, by chance, there might be a chance. So that's why, so cross-checking is always important. So when you are dealing with pre-processing, how to plot box plot of huge data for more than 1,000 variables? Is there any way that in R to divide those variables in the form of subset, as we have the function in R? In R, I don't think we have it, but you can always adjust your scale. So even if you have like more than 1,000 variables or whatever, but there is a possibility that you can adjust your scale. Ronak, and it's you. What is you? Ritu. Okay, what is the dummy variable and what is the importance of it? See, dummy variable is nothing but which we create. See, sometimes we create out of a categorical variable, or sometimes we create a dummy variable, in order to make make our variable compensate. Okay, let's suppose if we don't see in Python, in R we can directly treat with the categorical variables, but if you are in Python, then one hot hard coding is required. So where we create a dummy values, so it's like proposing a dummy value for one particular category. So in that way it helps. What are the best books for statistics and machine learning? Statistics and machine learning. So in terms of data science perspective, so better you follow articles instead of books. Like, so whenever you go through the subject articles that are present in edWisor, better you go that article and better you go and check those articles in a real-time platforms like Analytics Vidya or like Kaggle, okay, Digital Vidya, like towards data science. So these are the some of the website where they have written the real time, and physical significance of a particular statistical variables. Okay, so using sort value function to sort alphabetically, data is getting mixed up. What can be the possible reason? What is the sort? Okay, so if you're doing, sorting, the way that you're doing sorting is that you have to preserve the, see, when you have to two variables in your data, right? So if you are doing sorting on one variable, so it automatically, segment the other variable. I mean, it's like the corresponding values will be preserved. So, but I don't know how in general sort value is like when you do sorting, then obviously the data is mixed up, but the values will be remain the same. If we do not define number of trees to be built in random forest, then how many trees in random forest internally creates? The latest package of Python is creating 1,000 trees. Okay, but earlier it used to create 10 trees. What are the ways to adjust the scales? Could you please elaborate? Priyanka, so adjusting the scale for, you're talking about the box plot in R, right? So I can give you the function, so how you can adjust it, so that you will be understanding that. Yes, I have noted this, and I'll be providing you the function in what way that you can adjust the scale. Major difference between the linear regression and logistic regression. The major difference is that, the similarities both works on linear model, linear data very well, but regression, and so linear regression mainly we will use for regression problem, but logistic regression we use it for always a classification model. Okay, either it's a binary classification or the multinomial classification, but we always use logistic regression for classification problems. We use linear regression for regression problems, like if your data target variable is a numeric value. Yes, so maybe adjusted R and R squared. So it's like, say, adjusted R and R square values that you can find it, see, adjusted R is nothing but, so when you are, see, and when you're adding the variables or removing the variables, you will try to observe the difference between the previous R and this one. So that is all the adjusted R will always reflect. So R square is that, so whatever the value that you will be getting from this model, so it may not be useful for comparison, but it can tell whether you got like the accurate value or not. So if you want the table, like exactly the number of differences, like in terms of even mathematical differences also, I can provide you that. Maybe I have an article also where I have provided to the earlier batch, so I can give you that article, adjusted R and R square differences. So if it is 100,000 in both R and Python, earlier it was 10 for both. No, so in R it was like 500. So but only Python it differs. So all the questions has been mentored in first project session. So these all. Sir, these all questions asked by mentor in the first project session. Okay. Can we find R square value for non-linear regression models? It's not possible to find it out. In sampling, mandatory step in data analysis or an option. sampling is always an optional value. So when you have a data imbalance in your data imbalance in your target variable, then only sampling is required. Otherwise sampling is not mandatory. How do we know which machine learning algorithm to use for data set? See, which machine learning algorithm to use data set is always like, see, first when you're dividing the problem into regression and classification, then you can apply the models accordingly. Like if you go for regression, so maybe regression models are linear regression. So it's like, see, the way of data, it always depends, so the way of their data, it depends like this. So when you're using regression model, let's suppose if your data target variables and their independent variables are linearly dependent, then your linear models works better. So if you have non-linearity present in your data, so then better you go for non-linear models like random forests. So these kind of models will help you better. So it's like if you have a more number of variables in your data, so if you want to do principal component analysis, then so I mean where you want to reduce your variables. So that in those ways that it always depends on data. So it's like, so whether it's a linear, non-linear, so whether it's a categorical problem, if the categorical, so mainly by Bayes theorem, if the Bayes plus obeys, then Bayes, Bayes plus obeys, then so Navi base will give you the better results. So it always depends on that. So why can't we find R square for non-linear models? So we can only see linear model is having a region of convergence. Okay, so that is why we are able to find it for linear models, whereas non-linear models we cannot find like that. So that is why the region of convergence will not work there. What are the important nonlinear regression models we should have hands-on? So please name few important. It's like, see, mainly we will go for when it's nonlinear. So basically all advanced algorithms like random forest, PCA. So these all works well with the nonlinear models. I mean nonlinear regression. But I cannot I cannot make a universal statement that it always works. Nonlinear data. Okay, random forest always works on nonlinear data or something like that. Can you please R code to connect with the public API? What is that? Can you please R code to connect to the public API? HTTP. Yes, I'll be sending you at the end of the session, Priyanka. So I'll also test in my machine and then I'll be sending you. So I have noted down. So till now I have to send this one, and one guy has asked for pivot function. So that also I have taken into consideration. So I'll be sending that to you. Random forest is a nonlinear model. It is not, it works, so I cannot say that it won't work on linear models but linear data. So it also works well, but especially for non-linear data, if you consider, it doesn't have a particular pattern. So if it is a linear data, either it can be, it may have increasing pattern, or it may be having a decreasing pattern like that. But if it is a non-linear model data, so we don't have a certain patterns. In those cases, what the random forest will do, so it will try to, anyhow it will build the random trees. So when you are building the random trees, so what it will try to observe is that, so it will use by default 2/3 of data as the training data and 1/3 of data as testing data. And so it will be, by default what it will do is it will calculate the error for each and every tree, and whichever is giving a less error, then it will be taking. It's like a trial and error method on non-linear data. So that works well for this. How do we convert a variable from factor to numeric in Python? So we have like as numeric functions are available, so which you can convert it in Python. What is the basic experience 0 to 3? Okay, what is the meaning of 0 to 3? Okay, what is the basic experience for getting job in data scientist? As data science is like emerging, field, so you don't need any experience. So it's like even if you are a fresher also, uh, so what you can do is, so if you have done your projects well. So if you have enough knowledge to understand the business and all, then you will be treated, as a data scientist, and you will be getting a job. So only the thing is, so you should know how to analyze your data, okay, and your understanding skills about your data, and the way that you can modify your data so according to your requirement. So that is what especially it gives you, immense knowledge and everything. So basic thing is, try to do your projects well, and try to observe each and every possibility. Don't leave a single so it's like, if you want to build a machine learning model, you can simply build by sitting like 1 hour, okay, you can build it. But so the meaningful way of building the machine learning model, okay, so if you're building a model, what you have to observe is that how well your model is built on your past data. So whether it has considered your pattern or not, how well your model is built predicting the near future data, and what is the way that you can scale your model or upgrade your model in future. So these are the things that you need to keep in your consideration, and you have to build your model. Everyone who need the links that Adi sir is mentioning in the session can raise a mail to support advisor, or we will provide you the same. Yes, as of now, I agree to give you. One is that in order to connect to public API, so I have to send the R code, and another thing is pivot function with both R and Python. So those two are pending from my side. Then I'll be sending you what is the best approach to model tuning. See, model tuning is nothing but, so you can refer the hyperparameter tuning for each and every model. So it differs from one model to another model, okay. So it's like some models, then we have hyperparameters where we can play with the hyperparameters and you can tune your model, or else in some cases, so based on the, where if you take linear regression or something else, so if your data is not normally distributed when you're checking your assumptions, so if you are trying to do the transformation with the data, like using log functions, or if you do the squaring or whatnot, so these are called the transformation of your data. So if you do the transformations of the existing data, then also there is the possibility that you can increase your accuracy. Model tuning is nothing but improving the performance of your model. What is the variable inflation factor? So variable inflation factor is nothing but, it is a measure, okay, to tell whether you are, okay, any two variables are correlated or not. So sometimes you might be having a confusion. Okay, let's say that I have two variables, two independent variables which are multicollinear. Then you have to decide, right, which variable you need to delete it. In those cases, so what you do, if you build a model with using one variable and observe the variable inflation factor, and you build the model with other variable, okay, and observe the variable inflation factor. So whichever is getting less, then you can remove that variable. So in order to handle multicollinearity, like especially when you have to delete a particular variable, so if you don't know what to delete, then it will be a very useful factor. AUC for ROC curve is always, area under the curve for ROC curve is calculated, and which is the good curve to get. So should the curve fit to line or to be nearer to the, it is always nearer to the line, it won't exactly fit it. But if it is nearer to one, then it will be good. Hi Kritesh, we got the Sunday video on YouTube, but from where to get the PPT? I think this is a question to Kritesh. Hi Ritu, we will attach the PPT to it tomorrow. I guess that got missing. Yes, Kritesh, I have never received any PPT or video link. How can I get those? But I don't know how any PPT can be attached and download from YouTube videos. Hi Kritesh, we don't got the video of 7 September session on YouTube. Can you please provide it on YouTube? Okay, Ritu has, thank you Adi sir, and you may check this link. Okay, give some live sessions about interpretation of graph. So live sessions about interpretation of graph. So it's like, what kind of interpretation? So that can be possible by sharing a PPT or something. So where we can explain you the better way. So it's like, if you see the visualization, so basically there are certain websites where the way that it visualizes is, so if you give the data points, then each individual step, okay, So if I have to, build a bar graph, so what it will do, it will first check the levels and give the count, and then it will plot one by one. So those kind of websites are available. If you go, okay, I will also note this. Okay, I will provide you such kind of websites. So where like by visualizing each and every step, you will understand, okay, how the plot has been built. So that will be very useful when you are checking this. Yes, I do share those kind of websites. Give me some uses of Tableau website also. Some of the Tableau websites. It's like you want to build the Tableau dashboards and all. Then yes, I'll give you. So I think yes. So from where we are, what is actually after AOC for ROC curve? What actually affect AOC for ROC curve? So it always see the variables which you're taking, it affects. Okay, so when you're building it, so obviously it will learn the coefficients, right? So whatever the coefficients that so that are built by model, so based on that coefficient, so how well the values are nearer to you, so that will be useful. And which one is best, R or Python? So you can learn any of the one, but nowadays people are using more like Python. So because it has many advantages. So of course R is also having, but majority of the cases, yes, Python is having advantages because in terms of integration and all everything. Uh, so pivot function. So random forest is a classifier also. Yes, random forest is a classifier. Moreover, the best way to use random forest is for classification in terms of regression. How to tell whether model is overfitting or underfitting? So you can check the accuracy. See, once you build your model, then you can check the accuracy of your model. Okay, so if your test accuracy, okay, if you have trained the model and if you're getting a less accuracy on your testing data, then that is the indication of your overfitting. As your trying data is overfitted, that is why you're getting less accuracy on your testing data. So that is the first simple step which can, by looking at, you can say that okay, whether it is overfitted or underfitted. So whether learning missing value analysis, while learning missing value analysis observed in the videos, the KNN calculated in R and Python differ for the same dataset variable. Why so? Because KNN is nothing but K nearest variable. So if you take R and Python, see the basic functionality might be same, but when it comes to numericals, it might be different from R and Python. Okay, so the basic functionality might be same, but the consideration of digits might be different in R and Python. So there is a more possibility that when you build two models in R and Python, there's a more chance, sometimes you will get suppose if you apply even random forest also, sometimes you'll get more accuracy in R, sometimes you will get more accuracy in Python, because the number of variables will be taken different, number of trees will be built different. So these are all will be like, I mean, when you are changing the programming language, so you can expect this kind of behavior. So I'm confused in terms of like of assembling. So can you please, I mean, I have not understood this question. Can you please elaborate it on that? How to decide whether to use bagging or whether to use boosting? So it's like, see, bagging and boosting are like, see, so what the bagging algorithm is like always, so whatever the data it is there, it will directly work on entire data. Okay, boosting is something that, okay, so let's go, slower, and by reducing our errors, mistakes and everything, and I'll build step by step algorithm, I mean step by step process and all. So major algorithms are for bagging, it's like random forest, decision tree, all these works in bagging only. But boosting is something, is that, so when you have, unpredictable patterns in your data, so it's like if you observe like, more outliers in your data. Okay, so this kind of scenarios where you can go for boosting techniques, so those will give you the better results instead of bagging. Ensembling. Okay, it's ensembling. Ensembling is nothing but combining. So in terms of, so some people, what we do, sometimes what we do is that, so when your decision is not clear, okay, what we build is, we will build three models. Let's suppose I have built linear logistic regression, decision tree, and random forest. Okay, so in these cases, then I'll take the majority of decisions. So that is called ensembling of your models. So it's like I build 3 to 4 models and I'll take the majority decision as my, output. So that is called ensembling technique. There is an error while using sklearn. Yes, what is the error? Can you please specify, Deepak? Please send some light over CNN. Okay, image enhancement, denoising, morphological image processing. Yes. So it's like, when you're going for CNN, okay. So basically, when you're dealing with images. So maybe you might be talking about, when you want to feed it to any OCR model or something. Okay, I'll tell you, image enhancement is nothing but, so you are trying to, reproduce the I mean, so which are not favorable conditions of image. Let me tell you. So if image is just skewed, okay, in these cases, there are more chances that your OCR model may not recognize when it is skewed. So you have to unskew that image. I mean, you have to bring to normal, okay, orientation. So if your image is having, blur, so that we will be calling as noise. Okay, so if you want to remove the noise, some of the morphological operations are available in a CV2 package, where directly, you can reshape it, or else, you can do eroding. So these kind of operations you can do. So morphological operations are nothing but, like converting image to grayscale image, so for the better kind of results. If more colors are there in your image, let's suppose, okay, maybe the orientation wise, if it is not good, even the size wise, if it is not good, you know so those kind of operations that you can perform, like morphological operations. So if you can filter out some colors which you don't wanted it, maybe if kind of any kind of watermarks on your image, if you want to remove, you can remove. So these are like more kind of image pre-processing techniques. So most of them are available with the CV2 package. If you understand the CV2, then it's like you understand entire image processing. So can we say in clustering we have to use boosting? No, clustering is completely different. Boosting and bagging algorithms will comes under the supervised learning, not with the unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning, clustering means unsupervised learning. Okay, so we don't know. It's like the patterns in the sense, so not a proper pattern. So it's not completely that we don't know. So if we don't know anything about the data, that part we will treat it as cluster, like similar data points together. But we know it, but most uncertain patterns, like as I told you, like outliers in your data. sklearn, it says not defined. sklearn is not defined. So probably, you either it might be not installed, or else you're not properly, so install, I mean, you're not properly importing that particular function. Can you please write exact your statement that what you're using for this sklearn? Probably, have you installed this sklearn? Yeah, please confirm that. Yes. So what RMSE and MAPE value? So it's like, see, both constitute to same thing, that okay, whether to decide the accuracy. Okay. So whereas like, so accuracy always we will be, there are certain metrics. So in order to tell like accuracy of your model and all. So RMS and MAP will come under those category. So if you want a detailed information, yes, I have noted this also, RMS and MAP, so I can send you that article as well. Let me check. Okay. What should help in creating a better model? Dropping observations that have missing values or outlier values, or retaining the number of observations in the dataset but replacing or imputing the value using missing value analysis steps like KNN or median. So the better way is, if you retain the rows, then there is a more possibility that okay, you will have I'm sorry. If you retain the rows, then there is a more possibility that you indulge the more patterns. Okay, so imputation will work better for you. So in those cases, that you will get more accuracy, so that your patterns will not be missed. Yeah, some of them are asked regarding the pivot function. So in Python, so in pandas there is a function called pivot is available. Okay, in R, so so there is a thing called like casting. So in by using casting functions, then you can use, I mean, you can reproduce whatever the way that you wanted. So reshaping, casting is nothing but reshaping. So if you want a exact function, then you can use dcast for this pivoting, dcast for R in R. So pivot in Python. So it is available in pandas. Yeah, till now, so I have noted. So let me know if any one of the article is getting missed. So I have noted like the differences between RMSE and MAPE, and one more thing is like public API connection using R. So did I miss anything else apart from these articles which I told you to provide? Please raise. Pivot is I already provided you here, Ritu. In pandas, pivot function is there. Pandas library which you can use in Python. In R, there is a function called like dcast which you can use for pivoting. Yes, how to adjust R for Boxplot. Yeah, these three. Yes. Thanks for remembering, Ritu. So I've noted this. So this is so I am typing here Ritu the functions. Okay, again pandas.pivot is the function and dcast in R. So you can see here for pivoting. So these are the functions that you can use for pivoting. In R, it's like we will call that as a casting functionality. You know how to adjust scales in R. Oh yeah, that I have noted it down. And please, yeah, I'm using pip install scalar. Is this the right way to install a scalar? Yes, the negation. So you're using this negation symbol in the Jupyter notebook only, right? So I mean, are you getting any error in order to when you are installing this sklearn? But see, I always tell you to install packages from Anaconda prompt instead of using Jupyter notebook. Okay, better you use Anaconda prompt. Type like pip install sklearn, then it should be installed. There should not be any issue. How to connect Google Map API, sir? It asks for access key. I'm confused. I want to analyze geographical data. Navdeep, I'll check and I'll get back to you on this. Google Maps API. Okay? Because in general, when we are in organization network, it works. But outside of organization network, I have to check once. Okay? So but when you're an organization, so you can analyze these maps because we have full access to the Google, like Google Cloud. So then in those cases we can easily do that, but outside of Google Cloud, so I have to check and I'll get back to you on this. Okay. Yes, we will be wrapping up the session in the next 10 minutes. If you have any questions or doubts, ask according to the time left. Let me try and revert back. Thank you. Yes. Hi Ritesh, we didn't got the video September session on YouTube. Can you please provide it on YouTube? So do you have any site just to practice exploratory data analysis? Yes, you can go for Kaggle. Kaggle is a very good website, which will give you more view about your exploratory data analysis. There are many problems where you can simply go and see. Even code is also available. Okay, for many of them. We will definitely get this checked and will be updated soon. Okay. Thank you, Ritesh. Can you please spell the site here? The site that you Kaggle, Kaggle, Kaggle. Yes, that is the one. Pradesh has typed it. So you can get number of problems. And I'll tell you that all these problems are real time problems. So you can get the data from here and you can work on this, so that you will get more idea about how real time data looks. I think one of you has mentioned that you are trying to connect, Google Maps, right? So can you please type what is the command that you are using to connect? More thing, if you are doing a case study on drug discovery, what kind of approach to use? See, drug discovery in the sense, though, so you have multiple approaches here. So there is a see, if you want to identify a drug, okay, which you don't have the proper information. Let's suppose paracetamol is some tablet which can cure fever and everything and all. Okay, somehow you have to identify paracetamol as drug, right? So this kind of approach comes under NLP. Okay, so NLP in the sense, so it's like, so we already have a pre-trained data sets available. Okay, so if you take Europe region, so there are multiple data sets available, but remaining regions are they are very less. So where you can simply pass your statement and get the data labeled. So this is called data labeling. So each and every word will be labeled. So like that, even not only that, even if you have a celebrity name, or if you want to identify the fruits names, uh, or like famous movie names and all. So it's like you can do that. I mean, so that is possible with NLP techniques. So it's like if you pass a simple statement, it can properly analyze and give you the entity. So it's called entity recognition. So in terms of technical things, so those entity recognition models, multiple models are available, but especially for drugs, though, so there are libraries like Medicis available. There are some other libraries, so I can search and give you the proper library, other libraries. So if you specify the proper use case, but most of them are available for Europe region only, not for all the regions. Okay. So Navdeep, so it's like pip install gmplot, import gmplot, gmplot. Okay, Google Map plotter. Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Navdeep. Okay. Let me copy this. So the problem is it is asking you the key, right? Okay. I'll have a look on this. Yeah. Thanks. I'll do this. So totally, I have 4 questions to be answered. Okay, one is adjustment of scaling in R for plotting box plot if it is having more than 1,000 values. And next thing is that MAP and RMS differences. Another thing is that so API connection for a public website and Google Map API issue. So it is asking for a key when we are connecting. So these are all 4 questions. So please let me know if I miss anything else. Else we'll close the session. Yeah. So you will be answering in your next session. Actually, I'll be send these are direct commands, so and articles. So I can send it to Kritesh. Kritesh can directly give you the content link. So if you still don't understand from that content, then definitely I can. Yes, I think we are good to close the session. Yeah, thank you all for this. Thank you all for joining the session.